Correctional Industries likes to say we were reentry before reentry was cool.
So I think Correctional Industries is probably the keystone to reentry. And the purpose is not necessarily to compete with private industry. The purpose is to teach men and women responsibility, job ethics, how to get a job, what to do in the job, teaching them job skills.
I can say that, again, based on experience, placing offenders who, quote unquote, are at risk, are major challenges within your agencies, those offenders, when given the opportunity, will also choose to do the right thing.
First, we're going to hear from an employer who explains the reasons he hires offenders who have been through Correctional Industries programs. Let's take a listen.
There's a great pool of workers out there who want jobs, and if you're just willing to take a chance, and I got to tell you, our experience has been nothing but phenomenal. About 92% of our employees have criminal backgrounds. They've had a taste of the inside. If you listen and talk to them, they've had a taste of the inside, and all they want is a chance and an opportunity to prove themselves. And that's all we need to do as a society, is give them that chance. Giving them just public assistance isn't going to change the societal problems, okay? We've got to give these people jobs. We as employers have to be willing to take those chances. We had a fellow who was living in Columbia, Maryland. We're here. He would take a 2-hour bus ride, but in many cases he would ride the bus for upwards 4 hours so he could be here on time, okay? I mean, here's a guy that committed. He would spend 4 hours trying to get here, and not as many going home, but he was so worried about missing his start time. So, when you see that kind of willingness that you really don't see in the rest of society today, it's kind of hard to say that they're not working out. If you hire an ex-offender who has been recently released, is on a probationary program, parole program, the federal credits can be up to $2,400. Here in Maryland, they can be as much as $6,000, okay, for that one employee. So when you put it all together, it could be almost $8,500 in tax credits. Providing they work a certain amount of time, you pay them a certain dollar wage. You take roughly 38 employees, okay, times $8,000, that's $320,000 in taxes we saved this year. We've had very little, I mean, in fact, I can tell you 20% of the turnover we have has only been the ex-offenders. 80% has been that other 7 or 8% of employees that we had. So what's that tell you? We can talk about it, we can throw a lot of money at the problem, but we actually have to do something about it.
Well, I think that the relationship between correctional industries and workforce development varies from one place to another. That is, when I speak of workforce development, I'm speaking of the agency or the entity in the state that is responsible for workforce development. In some state jurisdictions, there's a close working relationship because it's clearly understood that while we want offenders to obtain certain work skills and abilities and so forth, we want to make sure that the programming that we're providing, the training that we're providing, can be transferred into the community once the offenders are discharged. So therefore, we must work with the workforce development agencies because they can assist us in telling us what type of skills and jobs are needed in the community, so we can then train offenders to do those things specifically.
Workforce development is something that the communities struggle with when it has nothing to do with prisons. So when we add the value of prisoners learning the skill and being able to enter the workforce once they leave correctional institutions, the value is almost unmeasurable. We know that if a person is going to not come back to prison, that we need to make sure that persons not only have skills, but we need to think about in correctional industries to make sure those persons have what we call 21st century skills, that those persons can have skills that can be competitive, they're IT related, they're related to the latest and the most sophisticated information that we can possibly have in order for society to benefit, and not just that particular offender.